Pokemon Champions has been out for a little bit now, and a metagame is starting to form in the competitive doubles format. I'm sure if you've been playing ranked battles, you're starting to notice some familiar faces. Let's take a look at the most popular Pokemon in the metagame right now. Talk about what they do and what makes them so effective. I'm going to look at the top 15 Pokemon by usage in this recent tournament, which had 532 entrants. Looks like the biggest online tournament for Champions so far. And I'll link that in the description if you want to take a look. This is not a concrete top 15 or anything, of course. It's just one tournament, fairly low sample size, but it's pretty good data and a pretty good reflection of the current metagame, I think. All of these Pokemon are fellas that I've been seeing very frequently on ranked ladder. Coming in at number 15 is a pleasant surprise. A Pokemon that I like, Maushold. Turns out strong family values are good for something for once. Maushold has proven itself to be a really solid support Pokemon in this VGC metagame. Maushold has a lot going for it. If you're a competitive singles gamer, you might know Maushold for its Population Bomb Technician combo that deals ridiculous damage. Population Bomb is a move that can hit up to 10 times, boosted further by Technician in power. But in doubles, Maushold runs the ability Friend Guard instead, and this is a really great support ability. Friend Guard will reduce the damage that your allied Pokemon receives from attacks by 25%, which is pretty significant damage reduction just for being on the field passively. Simply being in the vicinity of such a strong family unit gives you an incredible defensive boost. Maushold is also very fast with a base speed of 111, outrunning a bunch of significant Pokemon. A lot of Pokemon have base 100 speed, Garchomp has base 102. This speed benchmark is very good, and Maushold having such a high speed is a real asset. It also has a really good utility move pool. Follow Me is a real great one. A redirection move. If you use Follow Me, the enemies will be forced to attack Maushold, which can shield your ally from incoming damage, allowing them to set up or just safely shoot off an attack without worrying. What a selfless family. Heroically taking damage for the greater good of their team's success. Very inspirational. Maushold also just deals a lot of damage with Population Bomb on top of having all this support. It has Super Fang, which is very good to just deal half of the enemy's current HP in damage. You can Super Fang and then combo that with an ally's attack to 2-hit KO something that otherwise wouldn't have been 2-hit KOable. And Maushold also has Taunt, which is just very useful utility, as well as Encore. Just a really solid support Pokemon that is doing really well right now. This team, by the player Swamp, featured Maushold, and I've noticed that Maushold is a very good Pokemon alongside Floette, Mega Floette, because a Maushold clicking Follow Me completely shields the Floette from incoming damage and allows it to calm mind up safely, and then start shooting off dazzling gleams like a mini Xerneas. So Maushold Floette has actually been a common combo that I've seen quite a bit of. And we've seen Maushold on a variety of different builds. It's versatile. In this team by Swamp, it's a semi-rain team with the Pelipper Basculegion combo, but it's also built around the Floette, and Garchomp and Talonflame are just generically good Pokemon. On this team, by Adam E, it's also Rain, but it's got Archaludon and Mega Dragonite as the Rain abusers, also Garchomp and a Hisuian Arcanine. And then this team by Mario 8 is using Tyranitar as the Mega for reliable anti-weather technology and other solid Pokemon like Garchomp, Rotom-Wash, Corviknight, and Sneasler. So Maushold is a generally good support Pokemon that seems to fit on various different archetypes right now. This is one of my personal favorite Pokemon from Gen 9, and I think it's a really fun, balanced support Pokemon that is a good presence in the current meta. Up next, number 14 in usage was Rotom Wash. Good old Rotom Wash. You can't go too wrong with this one, can you? Rotom Wash has excellent defensive traits. Electric Water typing, combined with Levitate, has only one weakness to Grass. It's an outstanding defensive combination. And this typing plus ability is the main appeal. Levitate, incredible against common things in the metagame, such as Garchomp. General ground coverage. The Electric Water Stab combo also very good. I mean, if you've played competitive singles, Rotom Wash is pretty much good in doubles for exactly the same reasons. It's got a good mix of offense and defense. It matches up well into common things, is not too exploitable defensively, and has great utility too, with things like Will-O-Wisp and Electro Web as a spread move that lowers speed. Volt Switch is also nice to pivot out and tank a hit on the Rotom Wash for a safe entry for a teammate. Rotom Wash has been pretty popular alongside Garchomp because Garchomp can safely Earthquake and not hurt its own Rotom Wash while hitting both opponents. That's a great combo. And Rotom Wash is a pretty good recipient of the Citrus Berry because it's so awkward to actually get through the guy. It kind of just sits there, gets value, burns things, gets solid hits through, and it's very difficult to one-hit with anything common or power through it. The Citrus Berry gives you incredible value on it. And Rotom Wash also feels like it can fit on pretty much any team style. It's a common choice to fill out defensive gaps. There is a pattern of it being paired with Garchomp in particular. They just work so well together. Garchomp and Rotom Wash are very good friends and nothing will tear them apart. When Garchomp quakes the earth and makes a mess of things, Rotom Wash is there to clean it up, as he does best. Up next at number 13 is Dragonite, a classic pseudo-legendary that also received a new Mega Evolution, but Dragonite was used both with and without its Mega in this tournament, and I've seen that on the ladder too. Sometimes Mega, sometimes not. The new Mega is interesting. Mega Dragonite with a higher special attack and moves like Hurricane, which is perfectly accurate in Rain, and Thunder, which is perfectly accurate in Rain, actually can do pretty well. Multiscale also gives it a nice safety net with which to tank a hit. Rain teams are good right now, and Mega Dragonite is a decent choice on Rain teams. It's also probably higher in usage here because it is a free Mega that people got for free. That's probably a little bit of a factor. They just give it to you for logging into the game. But it also is decent on Rain teams, with Tailwind and a hard-hitting Hurricane and Thunder. Outside of Rain teams, it's also used in its base form. It has the ability Inner Focus, which grants immunity to flinching and immunity to Intimidate, actually making it a pretty nice Pokemon against Incineroar, who can't fake out Dragonite and flinch it, and also can't lower its attack with Intimidate. And Dragonite has a vast move pool. Extreme Speed is always nice, as just a nice hard-hitting priority move. Breaking Swipe is pretty good. A spread move that's Dragon type that hits both opponents and lowers their attack by 1. Tailwind, always useful to double your team's speed. Just a good Pokemon in general. I will say I think this one might be inflated in the usage stats, as I said earlier, because you get it for free. I actually would probably say Rotom Wash is a better Pokemon in my opinion. But here it is at number 13 in the usage stats regardless. Up next, coming in at number 12, is Farigiraf. This was an excellent Pokemon in Gen 9 VGC, and it continues to be excellent in Champions. This is a Pokemon that seems specifically designed to thrive in competitive doubles. Farigiraf is a normal Psychic type with solid stats, great HP and special attack, reasonable bulk considering its high HP. And this Pokemon is a Trick Room setter. Trick Room is a field condition that causes the slower Pokemon to move first instead of the faster Pokemon temporarily. And that lasts 5 turns. Trick Room is a great strategy in doubles, as your ally can benefit from it, and it makes your slower Pokemon so much more threatening. It also reverses enemies that have used Tailwind or are using speed boosts in weather or other things. It completely invalidates all of those and means you move first instead. Trick Room is incredibly central to doubles, and Farigiraf is probably the top Trick Room setter in the metagame right now. It certainly helps that it's pretty bulky and normal Psychic, not a bad typing. The Ghost immunity does help. But the other reason is because Farigiraf has the excellent ability Armor Tail, which is also an incredible ability in doubles. Armor Tail grants you and your allies a complete immunity to priority moves, which is amazing. Fake Out is an extremely common move in doubles that flinches the enemy Pokemon with a 100% chance and has priority, yet it only works on the first turn. Armor Tail prevents Fake Out from being used, also prevents common priority moves like Sucker Punch, Extreme Speed, etc. Sucker Punch in particular is quite nice because you would be weak to it otherwise, so Farigiraf is an incredible support Pokemon. It actually hits pretty hard too, with a good special attack and Hyper Voice as a spread option, and it has other doubles utility. Imprison is useful, because Imprison will prevent both opponents from using any move that you also learn. So you can Imprison, and then the enemy can't use Trick Room because you have Trick Room on your moveset. It's actually a pretty fantastic option to deny the enemy's Trick Room if you want to. If your Giraffe learns Protect, it would also deny the enemy from using Protect, which can leave them wide open to incoming attacks, and is very good as well. I'm glad the Giraffe is doing so well for itself. I recently met Farigiraf in real life, and we had a great chat. He seems like he's in really good spirits recently, and I think that his Pokemon champion success is a big part of that. Up next, number 11 on the usage is Charizard. And this is primarily because of the excellent Mega Evolution Mega Charizard Y, which I believe is at the moment the best Mega Evolution in the game. Mega Charizard Y is just straightforwardly excellent. It has enormous special attack, it makes Sun on the field with Drought, and it has Heat Wave, which is a spread fire type move that hits both opponents for pretty insane damage boosted by the Sun. Even if you're not running any Sun synergy like Venusaur with Chlorophyll or anything like that, other fire types, by itself, Mega Charizard Y is just insanely strong as a big special attacker that does insane spread damage to things. Not to mention you also get Solar Beam for grass coverage that hits instantly in the sun. It also really helps that when it Mega Evolves, that's when it sets the Sun, because enemy switch-ins to a Weather Setter will happen first, and then Charizard will overwrite it with Drought. So it's actually pretty hard to initially stop the Drought from happening. If you send in a Weather Setter of your own, like a Tyranitar or a Pelipper, the Charizard can simply Mega Evolve and overwrite your weather. They have to first wait for your Drought to activate and then cancel it. Mega Charizard Y can kind of work on any team, but I have noticed it paired with Whimsicott a lot, not only for Tailwind support, but also for Sunny Day support. Whimsicott can be an additional Weather Setter for the event where your opponent does overwrite your weather, and Whimsicott can reset Sun so that Mega Charizard Y can keep clicking its Fire-type attacks and its Solar Beam. Venusaur is also a common pairing, of course, because it has Chlorophyll granting double speed in the sun, along with Sleep Powder to incapacitate an opponent, preventing them from acting. They have nerfed Sleep though, making this strategy a bit more manageable than it used to be. Sleep now only lasts for 1 to 2 turns, making it far less punishing and powerful. Up next, number 10 on the list is my GOAT himself, Tyranitar, who is the Pokemon I've been using in my free-to-play ranked battles on the VGC ladder. I got it on my first lineup, very auspiciously. Very poetic for me to get Tyranitar on the very first lineup, I think. Tyranitar has been good with and without its Mega. It's a solid Pokemon on its own merits in its base form, setting Sandstream on the field, which is great to override enemy weather and also activate synergies like Sandstream on Excadrill. Tyranitar is bulky. It fits well in the metagame right now in a world with so much Charizard Y because it can survive incoming hits with its natural bulk and shoot off a big Stab Rock Slide, which is one of the strongest double spread moves, hitting both opponents with a flinch chance. Tyranitar getting Knockoff in Gen 9 was also a buff, and Knockoff on Tyranitar is just a really strong stab move. The guy has a really incredible attack stat. I've seen Low Kick be a common option as a way to hit enemy King Gambit for super effective damage, and also other things like Archaludon. Even though you activate Stamina, Archaludon is very heavy and takes a lot from Low Kick. And it also does pretty good damage to Mega Kangaskhan. It might be surprising to see Tyranitar above Charizard, considering Charizard Y's dominance right now, but I think it's because Tyranitar is good with or without its Mega. Speaking of its Mega, this is actually a really strong Mega right now, purely because it's so good as an anti-weather Mega. When Tyranitar switches in, it sets Sand, and when it Mega Evolves, it sets Sand again with another Sandstream activation. So it can actually counter Charizard Y pretty well, since they Mega Evolve and make Sun, but then you Mega Evolve and make Sand again, overriding it. Like Mega Tyranitar itself matches up outstandingly well against Mega Charizard with its incredible special bulk from the Rock-type Sand Boost and Rock Slide hitting Charizard for times for super effective damage. Tyranitar's partner Excadrill with Sand Rush has not quite had as much usage. It's not in the top 15, but it did appear a good amount alongside Tyranitar on these teams. I've been trying Tyranitar Excadrill combo, and I've actually been having some struggles with it. I feel like Excadrill has problems against common Pokemon like Rotom Wash, Sneasler, because Sneasler outruns Excadrill in Sand if it activated Unburden, and other things. Sinistcha is kind of a tough one, but Excadrill's still good with the double speed in the Sand. He also has high horsepower, which raises interesting scientific questions, and is also a good form of single target ground stab. We love to see Tyranitar winning, one of my favorite Pokemon ever, and one that I've been using myself. Feels very solid to me. You really can't go wrong with Tyranitar, an absolute classic Pokemon. Up next is Archaludon, a powerful Gen 9 Pokemon that is known for its incredible synergy on rain teams. And Archaludon is among the most popular rain abusers in the game right now. Archaludon is amazing. Steel Dragon typing is very good with very few weaknesses and incredible defensive traits. The ability Stamina is insane. You get a defense boost every single time you're hit. It can make it very difficult to eliminate this guy. It's so bulky. And Archaludon's stats are outstanding too. It has a very high base defense, incredibly well-rounded stats everywhere, and a good special attack too. It's actually pretty fast considering how bulky it is too, with 85 base speed. Archaludon has been nerfed in Pokemon Champions though. And I think it was a deserved nerf, because Archaludon used to have Body Press, which is the perfect move for Archaludon to synergize with Stamina, because Body Press deals damage based on your high defense stat. Archaludon having Body Press was a bit much, so I do think this was a good nerf. But even with this nerf, Archaludon is still seeing incredibly high usage as a top rain threat. And the reason it's so good on rain is because of its exclusive move, Electro Shot. Electro Shot is a 130 power electric type special attack that has to charge, but as you're charging you gain a special attack boost, and on the second turn you execute the move. But in rain, the charge turn is erased, much like Solar Beam. So Electro Shot will just be a huge 130 power move that also raises your special attack and deals massive damage. It's incredibly powerful, and buffs your guy permanently. Archaludon can be a boost sweeper while attacking at the same time, basically, which is just a very powerful concept. Personally though, I still do not forgive him for eating Mudsdale so that he could acquire the ability Stamina. There's no other way Archaludon would have enough Stamina to keep gaining defense. He had to eat Mudsdale to do this, which was probably the most controversial thing that's ever happened in the Pokemon franchise. So I'm not using Archaludon. I don't really agree with using him morally speaking. So if you do use Archaludon, I do think less of you morally because of what he did. Up next, number 8 on the list is Whimsicott. I have denied the existence of Whimsicott Wednesday for too long. I put forth the idea that no, it was Wheezing Wednesday, not Whimsicott Wednesday, but Whimsicott's high usage in VGC Doubles is undeniable. Maybe they can share a Wednesday. Maybe that's fair. Whimsicott is just a staple support Pokemon of competitive doubles. It has been for a very long time. And this is because Whimsicott has the ability Prankster, which grants priority to non-attacking moves, and it has the move Tailwind, which grants double speed for all of your allies for 4 turns. This simple combination is the crux of Whimsicott's viability, and on top of that, it gets some other useful stuff. It has Stab Moonblast, which is useful for coverage against dragons and fighting types and such. It has Encore, which is actually really nice in doubles. It can force enemies to execute the same move and put them in a useless situation. If you Encore the move Fake Out, the enemy is basically passing a turn and doing nothing, because Fake Out can only be executed on the first turn a Pokemon is active. Whimsicott in this meta as well has also been using weather setting moves like Sunny Day and Rain Dance, because it's a very weather-centric meta. If you're running Charizard Y, it's very nice to have an additional Sunny Day Pokemon to defeat enemy weather setters coming in. Same if you're running a rain team and you're up against an enemy Charizard Y. The Rain Dance can counteract that. So Whimsicott is eternally useful and a very good Pokemon. It also helps that this is one of the starter Pokemon they give you in Pokemon Champions. You start with a Whimsicott, but I don't even think that's that big of a factor here, to be honest. I think Whimsicott would have a high usage either way, whether you start with it or not, because it is just that excellent. Up next, coming in at number 7, is Pelipper. Pelipper is a central Pokemon here because it is able to set rain on the field with its ability Drizzle. Pelipper does have some competition as a rain setter with the Pokemon Politoed, who is also here, and sometimes Politoed is used, but generally speaking, Pelipper is the superior Pokemon. Pelipper is a water flying type that has Hurricane, and Hurricane can immediately be used with perfect accuracy from the rain that Pelipper itself sets. Pelipper also gets the move Tailwind. To be able to set rain on switch in and have such a useful utility move as Tailwind is also incredibly good. Pelipper has a hard-hitting Weather Ball, boosted by the rain. Pelipper also has Wide Guard, which is actually a pretty scarce option right now, and it's really convenient to also have it on a weather setter. Wide Guard is a protective move that shields your team from incoming spread moves for that turn. So moves that hit both opponents like Rock Slide, Earthquake, Dazzling Gleam, etc. are completely blocked by Wide Guard. Very useful to have that. And Pelipper gets some other cool stuff too, like Icy Wind to hit both opponents and lower their speed. Muddy Water as well as a water type spread move boosted by the rain, which can be useful too. Rain is really good right now. It tends to be really good. So historically, probably the best weather effect, but in a world where Charizard Y is so prominent, it's obviously great to set Rain and completely shut down Charizard Y's whole thing. Rain has plenty of powerful abusers as well. Archaladon, as we mentioned. There's a lot of strong water-type attackers, some Swift Swim Pokemon as well. Mega Dragonite has been a Rain abuser that's pretty decent. So Rain is in a really good place, and Pelipper is the best Rain setter in the game. No surprise that this has such a high usage. It is sort of funny that a simple Pelican from real life is one of the strongest Pokemon in competitive. It's not even a special Pelican, it's not even a superpowered Pelican, it's just a normal Pelican. And it's one of the strongest entities that we are currently aware of in the Pokemon universe. So that's cool, and that's just a truth that we must accept. Up next, number 6 on the list is King Gambit. If you are a competitive singles player and you thought that playing doubles would allow you to escape from the dominance of King Gambit, you were dead wrong, because King Gambit is amazing in both formats. This absolutely elite Pokemon has the great Dark Steel type combination, very strong offensively and defensively. Its stats are fantastic with high defense and attack, and great, well-rounded bulk too. King Gambit is a strong Sucker Punch user, strong priority user. Dark type attacks are very powerful. And in doubles, King Gambit chooses to use the ability Defiant. Not Supreme Overload like you might think, but Defiant. Because in doubles, Defiant is very good. Defiant is an ability that grants +2 attack if you have received a stat decrease. Which basically means King Gambit cannot be affected by Intimidate. Intimidate will raise King Gambit's attack. And so will Icy Wind and other stat drops that are common in doubles. It's easy to see why this is so successful. It's good offensively and defensively. It's got the prio. It's got the deterrent for Intimidate. If you intimidate this guy, it's actually going to get more powerful. King Gambit is inescapable. I fear this will be a staple for a long time in both singles and doubles. This is a Pokemon with competitive excellence baked into its DNA, no matter the format. Up next, number 5 by usage in the tournament was Basculegion, which might seem surprising. You might think, isn't Basculegion a Rain abuser? How could Basculegion be higher on the list than Pelipper if it's always going to be used with Pelipper? Well, Basculegion was actually just a really strong physical attacker on Rain and out of Rain. It was used on various teams, Rain or Shine. Basculegion is of course known for having the ability Swift Swim, which grants double speed in the Rain and is very good alongside Pelipper, but not all Basculegions were using Swift Swim. In fact, the more popular ability for Basculegion seems to be Adaptability, which is an ability that grants bonus stab damage, times 2 damage on attacks of the same type, rather than the usual 1.5x. Because this ability is good whether Rain is up or not, making it a bit more consistent. Basculegion also benefits from the fact that it's a water ghost type Pokemon, which means it can't be faked out. And it's also actually kind of nice in this metagame to be a ghost type because you can't be trapped by Shadow Tag. Mega Gengar is pretty popular. Perish Trap has been pretty good. So just being immune to trapping as a ghost type has its value. And even though Last Respects, the move, is not as broken as it is in 6v6 singles, it's still incredibly good here. Last Respects is a ghost physical attack that begins at 50 base power, but gains 50 more base power for each fallen ally. So if one of your allies is dead, it's a 100 power ghost move, still really strong. And if 2 allies are gone, it's 150. That's well above average, and that can power through almost anything that's being hit neutrally, especially with the adaptability boost. If all of your allies are dead, you get up to 200 base power with Last Respects, which can actually carry you out of a lost position in an end game. Choice Scarf Basculegion has been popular with adaptability to abuse its powerful water stab. It also has Flip Turn to pivot, which is nice, and hits hard considering. It has Aqua Jet for some priority, which is always useful. So Basculegion, just a generally strong physical attacker that also works very well on Rain, but even outside of Rain, it has been a popular choice. It is really nice to not be worried about getting faked out by Incineroar, especially as a water type, because you directly threaten the Incineroar too. Even if you've been intimidated, that's still really strong damage with the adaptability boost, stab, super effective, and also presumably a Rain boost. Even without Rain though, an incredibly powerful Pokemon. Seeing Basculegion so high here was a bit surprising, but it does make sense when you look at how strong it is in the meta. It's very good right now, and I have to say that maybe I'm going to give Basculegion a go. It sounds like it might solve some of the problems I've been having. Up next, number 4 on the list is Garchomp. a competitive staple and a familiar face too. I like seeing Garchomp. I'm fond of this Pokemon. Garchomp is just one of the most solid guys that has ever existed. Dragon Ground is a typing you can't go too wrong with. Garchomp's stats are so well rounded. Incredible natural bulk from the typing and solid defenses, as well as having a really good speed benchmark of 102 base speed, which just outruns a bunch of important stuff, and the outstanding 130 base attack. The ability Rough Skin also comes in handy all the time, dealing chip damage to anything that makes contact with you. You can break focus sashes, bring things lower. It makes it a little bit of a risk to even target Garchomp. Garchomp also has very good spread moves, very good physical move pool. It's got a Rock Slide and Earthquake. You can run mixed attacks on it. I've mostly just seen physical sets in this metagame, but its options are diverse, and you could catch things off guard with random fire, special attacks or something. Scarf Garchomp has been good. Yachi Berry, you can't go too wrong with, reducing the damage of an ice type attack incoming. And Garchomp just always feels a little bit difficult to KO. With the safety net of the Yachi Berry and its great natural bulk, it's actually pretty difficult to power through. It's going to get a couple turns of value in most games, and that's what makes it so good, is it's, unless you're like a strong fairy type attacker or something, Garchomp will probably survive most neutral incoming hits and dish out some incredibly respectable damage, chip you down with Rough Skin. You just can never go wrong with good old Garchomp, can you? It also helps that it outruns and threatens Mega Charizard Y. Mega Charizard Y has base 100 speed, Garchomp is faster and hits it with Rock Slide. That's a pretty big deal. It's also nice to threaten Incineroar, since that's so common, and if you try to fake out Garchomp, you will take chip damage from Rough Skin, which is a little bit of a deterrent at least. Garchomp, unsurprisingly, excellent as usual, and very popular. Up next, number 3 on the list is Sinistcha, the Matcha Cup. Unsurprising considering that matcha is also very popular in the real world. I'm not really that fond of it. It's alright, I'll have it from time to time, but I'm not going to spend that much money on a matcha latte at the cafe. They're overcharging for those due to the high demand right now. And that high demand for matcha extends to the Pokemon universe, where Sinistcha is perhaps the strongest support Pokemon in the game right now. Sinistcha is partly elevated due to the lack of Amoonguss in the game. Amoonguss is an incredibly popular support Pokemon historically in VGC, one of the goats of competitive doubles, with its Rage Powder, Spore, great defensive typing, etc. But Sinistcha is kind of filling that gap as an alternative, bulky, grass-type support guy. And it's got its own flair. Sinistcha has a Grass Ghost typing, which is a good one for doubles. Immunity to Fake Out and Powder moves really comes in handy. Sinistcha has the ability Hospitality, which is a very altruistic ability. Whenever Sinistcha switches in, it will heal its ally for 25% of their max health, which is a pretty nice amount of healing to just get passively from a simple switch in. That healing effect is incredibly good and allows you to heal up bulky Pokemon. Healing up a Garchomp goes a long way. Healing up Tyranitar, these bulky attackers, that little bit of health goes a long way. And Sinistcha has a great support move pool. On top of that, you have Rage Powder, which is a powder move that attracts the enemy to attack you. Similar to Follow Me, as mentioned before. This can shield an ally and allow it to set up or attack the enemy without worrying about its own demise, Sinistcha proving its selflessness many times over. Matcha Gotcha is Sinistcha's signature attack, and this is an excellent one. It's a grass-type special attack that hits both opponents and drains their HP as well, so it can heal off of this incredible grass-type spread move, plus it also has a 20% chance to burn. I guess because the matcha is very hot. Be careful. Youch! Careful, folks. And Sinistcha has plenty of other great options too. It's got Trick Room, always useful to have, even just to cancel enemy Trick Room or help you win in an endgame scenario if the enemy has Tailwind up and you want to cancel that out with your own Trick Room. Sinistcha has Strength Sap, which is one of the strongest healing moves in the game. It lowers the enemy's attack and then heals based on how high their attack stat is, often full healing you if you use it against a physical attacker. So that's incredible for your longevity. Sinistcha can also just use Shadow Ball, which is pretty good in the current meta, to hit enemy Ghost and Psychic types for super effective damage. And Sinistcha does have a respectable special attack stat of base 121, which is very good. It is kind of funny that Sinistcha is this good in competitive doubles because of how small it is compared to some of its contemporaries. Sinistcha, when you send it out, is very tiny, and it's facing off against very large individuals like Palafin and Steelix, and it's quite honestly destroying them in competitive viability and team value. Sinistcha is outstanding. I've used it a lot myself. I was lucky enough to get one from a random pull. One of my luckier moments so far as a free-to-play gamer, and as soon as I put this on my team, I noticed an immediate difference in my win rate. The guy is incredibly good. Extraordinary support Pokemon right now in the Pokemon Champions metagame. Up next, number 2 on the list is Sneasler. I never thought I'd see you again, Sneasler. I hate you very much, but here you are anyway. This Pokemon is so annoying. Sneasler is an incredibly strong, fast, physical attacker. It has very high attack and speed, 130 base attack, 120 base speed. A poison fighting typing, stab close combat, and the real broken thing about it is that it has the ability Unburden, which will grant double speed to the Pokemon if it's lost its held item. The most common item on Sneasler right now is White Herb, because it gets consumed when you have a stat drop and cures the stat drop. So this immediately procs if Intimidate activates, and not only cancels out the Intimidate, but grants Sneasler double speed. Sneasler can also proc this himself after using Close Combat, since Close Combat drops your defense and special defense. So that's just a very easy way to proc Unburden and get that double speed. And this just outruns absolutely everything in the world after Unburden. To make matters worse, Sneasler has Fake Out, which is one of the strongest attacks in doubles, the priority move that flinches the enemy, so it also has some utility and crowd control. And the move Dire Claw is just diabolical. They have at least nerfed this move in Champions. Previously, this was a move with a 50% chance to inflict one of 3 status ailments randomly, either poison, paralysis, or sleep. Just one of the stupidest things they've ever made. A complete random casino as to what status ailment you get on an already strong poison move. They've at least lowered the chance to 30, but I think this move should just be banished from the damn game. It's ridiculous. 30% chance to inflict one of 3 status ailments is so crazy. I hate it very much. The fact that there's a chance you can be put to sleep by a Sneasler who's already hitting you, is already double speed, and is in this insanely strong Pokemon is just psychic damage that I don't need in my life. I don't need that stress in my life. The chance of being put to sleep by Sneasler, when it's already so blessed with so many other advantages. Can you please relax and not give him a random chance to put me to bed as it attacks me? Can we not do that? Regardless, though, Sneasler is inescapable in this metagame. I'm sure if you've played ranked, you have seen this on half the damn teams you face. You can throw this on what feels like any team and it will perform incredibly well. It is an inherent form of speed control. It deals so much damage. It also provides you with Fake Out support, which is very important for crowd control. Unfortunately, I think that we're going to be seeing a lot of Sneasler moving forward. And finally, number 1 on the list, the most used Pokemon in Champions at the moment, is a surprise to nobody. It is Incineroar, of course. And they did nerf Incineroar in this video game. It has lost Knockoff as an option, and it lost U-Turn as an option. But even with these nerfs, they are not nearly enough to keep Incineroar from being the doubles GOAT. Incineroar has the incredible combination of Intimidate and Fake Out, which is elite. Intimidate lowers the attack of both opponents just by switching your Pokemon in, which is just incredibly high value to achieve by basically doing nothing but switch in. Looping Intimidate can destroy physical attackers, and Intimidate is just one of the strongest abilities in doubles. It's strong in singles too, even only hitting one opponent, so it's double as strong in doubles, folks. And Fake Out is, of course, an incredibly powerful move that guaranteed flinches the enemy, allowing your ally to be safe from their incoming attacks and set up and do whatever it wants. Not many Pokemon get this combination of Intimidate and Fake Out. I think Scrafty gets it, but Incineroar is a cut above Scrafty. Fire Dark typing is pretty damn good. You're a Dark type that is neutral to Fairy, which is very nice. You can't be hit by Prankster effects because you're a Dark type. That comes in handy. You got Burn Immunity, which comes in handy. It's just a solid typing, actually. And your move pool on top of this is just solid as well, with strong physical attacks like Flare Blitz. Although losing Knockoff has been a shame for Incineroar Nation, you still have Throat Chop, which has its utility, a Dark type attack that disables sound moves. Parting Shot is an incredible pivoting option, lowering a target's attack and special attack and then switching you out. And Incineroar is extremely good at switching out and back in constantly, repeatedly intimidating the Pokemon, faking them out, pivoting, and just getting such repeated value that it's kind of infuriating sometimes if you're on the receiving end of it. I personally do not have access to Incineroar right now. I'm playing free-to-play, re-rolling as much as I can. I'm trying to get an Incineroar. I would love one. It would be a real asset to me to have one. It would greatly improve my win rate, but they're not giving me one. The bastards. They're giving me Simisear over and over. I don't want Simisear. Nobody wants Simisear. Nobody wants him. I will say Incineroar is not as much of an auto-include as it was in previous formats, but it does feel like you can throw it on absolutely anything and see success with it. It does feel like a lot of teams kind of need its utility and function very well with it. It is still by far the most used Pokemon, and I'm sure if you've played Ranked, you've seen it in most games. I'm going to refrain from saying my true thoughts about Incineroar here because I would like him to show up in my lineups in the future so I can use him on the battlefield. And I fear if I say anything negative about him, he will not show up and he will avoid me. So, for the moment, at least for this moment right now, I must say that I love Incineroar very much. I think he's very cool. He's a wrestling cat. That's great. I respect his fighting spirit and stuff like that. I respect his drive. And I view him as an inspiration, actually. I actually view Incineroar as a real inspiration to me, and I think that if he showed up in my lineup, it would be a real treat for me. It would be a real life highlight. Anyway, that's the top 15 Pokemon by usage in this tournament, which is so far the biggest online tournament for Pokemon Champions. Then I think a pretty good little snapshot of the current metagame. I will say that Floette is a bit underrepresented in this. Floette is one of the top megas in the game right now. And I think the reason it's not very high on the usage stats here is because it's difficult to get. You have to get it from Legend ZA. It's not obtainable in Pokemon Champions as a free-to-play gamer. Or as somebody that simply doesn't have Legend ZA. You need Legend ZA to get it, which I think is kind of silly. Especially considering how powerful it is. And Mega Floette did get good results in this tournament. It appeared multiple times in top 8 teams. But that does it, folks. Who have you been enjoying using in Pokemon Champions? Are there any underrated picks that you think are cool? I've found Primarina to be very good, just for its typing and strong spread hyper voice. That's been really useful for my team. What about you, though? Like the video if you enjoyed my commentary and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Share your thoughts down below in the comments and thank you for watching.